For many people, being diagnosed with a serious disease or injury can spell the end of their sporting career. But my next guest only embraced her sport after her diagnosis. Deanna Blegg is one of Australia's most prominent adventure racers, taking part in events all over the world. That's despite being diagnosed with HIV nearly 20 years ago. She's now in training for the Spartan World Championships, and she's taken time out to join us in the studio. Deanna, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Take us through the Spartan Championships. What are they all about? What do you have to do?
Well, the Spartan race is coming to Australia for the first time this year. The first race is in March, the second in Melbourne. Monthaggy, in fact. Now, the Spartan races are obstacle course races. We've heard a lot of talk about obstacle races, and there's lots of them out there. Spartan's unique because they make you, the obstacles are very challenging, and if you can't get through an obstacle, there's like a penalty obstacle as well, which is the 30 burpees. So I think they're a bit renowned for that as part of their racing. The races can be 7 kilometres, 14 kilometres, 21 kilometres or 42 kilometres. So they've got 4 different levels of racing. And
what are you competing in?
Well, I think to qualify for the Worlds, you've got to prove yourself in each of the levels. So I'll be, going for all of them.
Okay.
Course. Yeah.
Well, let's go back in time now. Let's take us back to the day of your diagnosis.
The day of my diagnosis, I was 24 years old. I was over in England at the time and had been travelling for a period of time. So away from home, away from family and away from my friends and support. The reason I went to get my test is because I'd been very unwell for a period of time, and my body wasn't right. I know my body very well, and just things weren't ticking along quite so well. When I was diagnosed, I thought that was it for my life. I thought, when you're that young, you feel the world's your oyster. You feel you feel invincible. We do as
20 years ago as well.
Yep.
HIV was still something that we felt was, kind of the end, really.
That's right. So at that age, I just thought, well, that's it for my life. And I remember speaking to the counsellor about it, and I remember talking about countries which allowed euthanasia. So I thought, well, when I start dying, I don't want to do the slow, painful thing. I wanted to just go to a country which allowed euthanasia.
Jeez. So it was really that's how far you were thinking.
Well,
really.
At that time, they said if I lasted 5 years, I'd be a long-term survivor. So that was the information I was given. There was no medication at the time, no treatments, and that was it. It was at that time a death sentence.
So what got you through? I mean, it's taken a while for treatments to catch up to the point where they are now. So how did you manage all of that?
It's a matter of just living with the virus at the time. I wasn't living a full life, but I was kind of waiting to die, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I wasn't feeling like I was dying either. I was just like, I couldn't make any big plans for my future because I just thought, well, I don't know what that entails. But in 1996, I was back in Australia and the medication became available to us. So it's not a simple answer. The medication is very toxic and it was really scary to start. However, once I started taking it, my body adjusted and I felt energy coming back and I felt life coming back, and that's when I made the decision, I'm going to actually live with this virus. I'm not going to die from it.
Because you weren't a fitness fanatic or anything before this happened at all?
I was involved in sports from a very young age. I've loved sport, and I did compete in triathlons up to the age of around 20 before I started travelling. And then when I was diagnosed with HIV, I thought, well, that's it. And they told me you can't exercise because too taxing on the body, and you can't do this and you can't do that because it's too taxing on the body. So I thought that was it as far as exercise. Yeah.
Tell us about your children.
I was also told when I was diagnosed I couldn't have children, and not at that time that I wanted children, but as a woman, it's
Of
something.
course, maternal.
Yeah. And I felt a real loss. That was one of the greatest sadnesses, I think. And the children, I always had that little seed. If I live, then that's something I'm going to chase up, so to speak. So when I was on the medication, I started looking long term as far as relationships and life, and children was on the topic again in my head. So my HIV specialist specialises in HIV and pregnancy, and she was encouraging the whole way. And I now have 2 children. My daughter's 14, my son's 9, and they're both HIV negative.
Beautiful.
So, very exciting.
Just to finish us off, I mean, do you think you'd be the same sort of person you are now if you didn't have to go through what you went through with your diagnosis?
I think every challenge that you're faced with makes you grow as a person. Everyone in this world has challenges. We have all had massive challenges in our life, and our friends have. And I think if you get through the challenges step by step, you grow, and that's the beauty about the obstacle course racing.
But strength
as well.
had to be there to begin with. There had to be something.
Look, I believe so. Everyone is given different attitudes to life, or well, you learn different attitudes. Mine is solution focused, not problem focused. So if there is a problem or something, you find the solution to it. So that's how I face life, and that, I think, with that attitude, you do grow. You do every challenge, you do grow. You become a stronger person. I'm certainly incredibly more open-minded to people and other people and their lifestyles, and I've learned so much just living with my own complications and meeting other people with other complications, I guess, as well. And that's a beauty, I think, with this obstacle course racing as well. You know, they're challenges, and every challenge you work out how to get around them, and it makes you grow as well. It's kind of synergy. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Deanna,
Absolutely.
we'd love to talk to you all day, but we can't. We've got time restrictions. Thank you so much for sparing some time for us
No worries.
today.
Thanks for having me here
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you.